Greetings, brethren, Donkey here, and nope, this is not a beer video, this is in fact a hobby-related video. I mean, full disclosure, there is beer, but it's just because I'm actually thirsty and not because I'm trying to shill my beer channel, okay? You don't have to worry about that. Now, what are we talking about? So, you may have noticed that I have been gone for a while. The rumors of my death have been greatly exaggerated. And mostly it's been because I've had probably the worst hobby burnout since I first quit like Warhammer. So we're talking well over 15 years. And mainly it's been because, well, I don't know. There's not really been one reason. There's been a lot of different reasons. One, commissions are really starting to take a toll on me. I am currently working on a commission again of lots of space orcs again for Warhammer 40k, which is annoying. Not really enjoying it that much, but hey, it's money, which is of course important. But that is certainly one of the reasons. I'm kind of sick of painting miniatures for money. I'm still gonna have to do it for quite a while, but I am working very hard on changing up my business to do other things other than paint miniatures, stuff that I can basically produce and then sell. So that's part of the whole burnout issue, because when I went away for my little break, I also didn't take, or I sort of arranged it in a way that I had just finished the Republican Romans, and I was kind of just working on my own stuff a little bit, on my sort of the War Master army and things like that. And I had just finished a big commission, and I had sort of arranged it that I didn't have to do another one for a good while, right? So there was about a month and a half that I didn't have to do any painting for money. And my plan was to just really casually paint some of my own figures in that time. But it turns out, I was incredibly burned out when that happened, and I immediately lost interest. In the last video, I'm pretty sure I talked about painting the Old Hammer High Elves, and I painted exactly, I think, 2 colors, and then I was done. I could not stomach painting the rest of that bolt thrower crew. I just had to stop. And I truthfully have not, well, until I started this commission, I have not painted anything. Yeah, so for at least 1.5 months, I didn't lift a brush at all, and then I started doing commission work again. But I just couldn't get myself to do anything for myself, and there were a few things that I wanted to jump on board with. First, there was some War Master stuff going on in the community, and I wanted to jump on that with my dwarves, and that never happened. They're still sitting there, untouched. Then the next thing was sort of a 6th edition reminiscing kind of thing from the Wargamers Anonymous Discord, where people are making 6th edition Warhammer Fantasy Battle armies, and I wanted to join in on that with some lizardmen. I even made a video, but I never ended up uploading it because I realized I was never going to be able to really partake, because they were doing sort of a slow grow thing, and the miniatures are built, and they're sitting there waiting to be primed, but I just don't have the time for it at the moment. So I'd be way behind them, and that's not quite as fun. So I just kind of didn't even upload that video and just kind of abandoned that idea for now. I might do that at some point though, just for fun for myself. And so I've been thinking, what could I do with my time that would be both fun and also would kind of rekindle my interest in the hobby? Because that has been the biggest problem at the moment. I just don't really have much of an interest. And that has several reasons. I guess I could go into those really quickly. First of all, I've not actually played any war games for at least a year. It was some time after after my back issue in 2020, where I basically missed all of summer after that first lockdown period. So my lockdown went till about mid-September, and then it started again in October because that's when Germany went into lockdown again. So, I've only been in lockdown for like a year straight, pretty much, right? So, and we're going back into it now, I'm sure, in a couple of weeks. But anyway, so I've not played any games since then. Right after my sort of back issue, I think I had a game of Age of Sigmar, and I'm pretty sure that was it. There may have been... No, actually, there was a game of Oathmark and a game of Conquest. So there you go. I played like 3 games a year ago. And yeah, it's kind of difficult for me to be really excited about wargaming when the prospect of actually playing games is basically nil. There have been games somewhat locally, but I can't drive at the moment, so that's a problem. I can't really get to the games because they're quite far away, and I have to ride the train, and that's a problem with all the stupid COVID nonsense, and yeah, so I'm in a situation where playing games is just not really on the plate right now, and it's just kind of robbing me of enthusiasm for anything fantasy related. Because it's painting stuff that I'm probably not going to be using for a while, and that just doesn't make it nearly as fun. And the other reason, that is one that I'm also going to go into in a video that I'll upload in a couple days. That video I recorded also a while back. That was about a month after I sort of went away. I made that video, and it's still kind of relevant though, so I'm still going to upload it. It's just some of the stuff I say isn't quite as relevant now that it's November instead of September or whenever the hell that was. But never mind. But yeah, basically the other reason is I'm going to be leaving the country as soon as possible. I don't know exactly when, but I'm definitely going to be moving. It's been a sort of a back of my mind kind of plan for a while, but the last 2 years have absolutely clarified in my mind that I do not belong here. And yeah, so basically I've been thinking about that and coming to the conclusion that by the time I'm 40, I want to be gone. I don't want to be in Germany anymore. So that's only 4 years. And, well, I counted through all of my hoard and realized I have like 12 to 16 years worth of painting sitting there. So there's no way I'm going to be able to take all of that with me. I'm going to be able to take some of it with me, I'm sure, but not all of it, because I'll have room for like a few boxes, and that includes painting materials. So most of my collection is going to be sold off. That's also the subject of that video I'll do in a couple of days. Yeah, and that has also kind of robbed me a little bit of my sort of enthusiasm for the whole thing, because I'm not even sure if I'm going to be able to take any of the stuff I paint now with me. We'll have to see about that. So it's kind of all up in the air with that. And that all contributed to the whole me being down on everything. But let's not dwell on that. That's just the reasons for all of this. But here we are. So I finally made a decision on what I'm going to be doing to rekindle my interest. And it is actually a project I've been wanting to do for many years. Even back when I was doing sort of, when I used to do War Machine, and before that Warhammer Fantasy Battles, I always really liked the idea of historical wargaming. I just didn't ever really know anyone who did it, apart from Flames of War. So even then I wanted to do stuff like that. And then also about 15-ish years ago, I did some LARP as a Landsknecht character, and then I did some Landsknecht reenactment. And ever since then, I've been really, really into that whole period, especially the sort of earlier period. And that's what I'll be doing. I'll be doing Italian Wars. This is just the first book in my pile. I have a lot more of these books. And yeah, that's what I'll be doing. Also, I should probably show you all the books. So we have some Renaissance armies from Osprey. We have some German books, of course. This is particularly the Schmalkaldischer Krieg, so it's not necessarily super part of the Italian Wars. It's kind of toward the end of it, but it's still really, really interesting stuff. Then we have an old book that is Renaissance Armies 1480 to 1650 by George Gush, and that one is really, really interesting. It has a lot of cool information on formations and flags and stuff, which is good. But it's not it doesn't go too in-depth on anything specific. Then we also have The Art of Renaissance Warfare, which I have read most of. You can kind of see my bookmark there. Yeah, it's a bit dry, that one. And then we have this one, which is another German book, Weapons and Use of Weapons in the Age of the Landsknechte. I do have a few more books, but they're in the basement, and I didn't want to get them out. The thing with the Italian Wars is, and it's probably also the reason why it's not as popular in the wargaming sort of circles, because a lot of what we do in these wargaming circles, let's not kid ourselves, is very much influenced by the Brits. The Brits are at the center of the wargaming world. That's just a fact. That's why, 100 Years' War is popular. Napoleonics is popular. I guess the Romans were in England too. And then we have, the Battle of Hastings around Normans and, around the Vikings and all that stuff. And then we have, the English Civil War as the sort of prime or mainly played conflict in the in that pike and shot era, which is weird because the much bigger conflict in that era is, of course, the 30 Years' War, and then 100 or years before it, the Italian Wars. But no, the focus is that particular conflict, and it's difficult, I think, I guess it makes sense because of a lot of the sources for this particular war and also for the 30 Years' War are in German, Swedish, Spanish, and Italian, right? That's kind of where most of the literature for those conflicts exists. And, conversely, for the English Civil War, of course, most of the sources are in English. So yeah, that's why I guess it's easier for me to sort of research that stuff because I can just get German books because I understand those. Still don't really understand any of the other languages. Spanish, Italian, Swedish. Not really very good at those. But yeah, it still helps me, I guess, have a better sort of overview of all the stuff that's about the Italian Wars. But yeah, I've always been sort of interested in this period, and the reason I'm choosing this as my sort of project to get back into the hobby is mainly that it is something that inspires me very easily. There's a lot of the problem that I have often with historical conflicts, especially with the later ones. As much as I enjoy the sort of horse and musket era, I would have to end myself if I had to paint an entire Napoleonic army. It's too many of the same miniatures for me. I do like to have some variation in armies that I paint. Which is why if I was going to do something along those lines, it would be the American War of Independence, because at least there you have all the different, tribal, Native American sort of contingents. You have all your royalist regiments on the, loyalist regiments on the English side, and you have the Hessians and the Brunswickers and all that stuff, and you have all the sort of different varying regiments on the American side, and all the Minutemen and all that. So there's a lot of variation there that would be much more interesting to paint. And that's the same issue for me with 30 Years' War, is that it's kind of samey to paint, and that's why I didn't really want to go too deep in that direction. But there is also another problem that's to do with just the scale. I want to do something at 28 millimeters, basically. I've decided that. It's just a more fun scale for me to paint. 10 millimeters is nice. You can do nice big battles. And if I was going to go 30 Years' War, I would go for 10 millimeters, because 30 Years' War in 28 millimeters just does not work unless you have a massive playing surface. But I mean, you see, this is all I have, right? This is the space I command, and I can barely get a 6x4 table in here. And well, a 28 millimeter infantry regiment for the 30 Years' War is like, 80 millimeter frontage for the pike, and then 2 times 12 millimeter frontage for the muskets, which or 120 millimeters and 80 millimeters. So that's what 240, like 320 millimeters, like 32 centimeters. That's a foot, right? That's a foot of space. So on a 6-foot table, you can do like 4 or 5 infantry regiments. That's not a lot for a 30 Years' War battle. So I just don't think I can realistically do that at that scale. I would probably be fine at 10 mil, but I don't know. I'm just not really interested in 10 mil. I don't think painting a bunch of 10 mil miniatures would rekindle my interest in painting, because I mean that's what I was doing with the War Master stuff, and I like dwarves, but I just couldn't be bothered with 10 mil. So yeah, this is what I'm going to be going with, and I'm really looking forward to it actually. It's a great opportunity for me to make some flags as well, which I'm happy about, because I was kind of sort of trying to figure out what to start with on that front. And this is a perfect opportunity because, oh my goodness, are there many flags that you can do, and I do have some good sources, so I should be able to make some flags that are also not otherwise commercially available. What else did I want to say? Let me have a drink and contemplate. Ah, yes. So in terms of what I'm gonna be doing, I won't make an army, because I don't necessarily think that's smart for the Italian Wars. I think if you make one specific army, you are limiting yourself to a degree that just isn't necessary, because those kind of, those wars in the sort of earlier Renaissance period, and even in the 30 Years' War, they're so focused around the idea of mercenaries that the armies changed all the time, and units fought for different armies all the time. And yeah, I just don't find it particularly sensible to sort of limit myself that way. Especially because a lot of things just don't even require you to have, identifying markers. Like, not every unit is going to have a flag. Lots of the sort of, cavalry and skirmisher units, they're just not going to need flags. And so they can be used for whatever. Apart maybe from sort of the clothing, sure, the Spanish did have their own sort of clothing style. That was very different from the German style. The French were also a bit more froofy. The Italians a bit more utilitarian. But yeah, so anyway, what I'll be doing is basically just the conflict. So I have a whole box somewhere back there of miniatures that I have accrued over the years, because I've always loved these miniatures and this period. So I have probably 3 kilograms of lead just sitting there for the Italian Wars, plus loads of plastic miniatures and all sorts of things. And I'm just gonna do whatever I feel like, really, and just keep building an Italian Wars collection that eventually will be playable, if that ever came to be. The first thing that I'm going to do, I should have gotten some out. That would have been good. I could have just shown them, because I already built a few. The first thing I'm going to be doing is a whole bunch of units of jinetes for the Spanish army. So I would say the first couple of units that I'll be making will be vaguely Spanish and vaguely Imperial, with then later on some Swiss entering the fray, of course. I probably will also have some like specifically French units, but I mean the French were mostly Swiss and knights and some crappy infantry that could fight for other nations as well. But yeah, so we'll start with the jinetes. Probably 4 units of them. I'm not sure. It might even be more than that. It depends kind of how many figures I have on hand. I don't really want to buy anything new at the moment, so I'll just see what the store has. I think I built 3 units so far. I might build another one, see how much I still have left, and yeah, and then I'll paint those, and I'll also do some interesting little sort of tutorials on how to paint horses, for example, because I have a good method of speed painting horses, and yeah, and then we'll see what else after that. Maybe some Landsknechte, and I do also plan on making a little video that's like a sort of a guide on how to pronounce German words, because I've realized that there's a lot of people out there who do like doing things like Landsknechte and other sort of historical German stuff, and they have a hard time pronouncing the words because then the words are sometimes kind of hard. Same with World War II lingo. There's a lot of stuff in there that's kind of difficult to pronounce if you don't know how to pronounce it. So I think I'll do a video that's like German for the wargamer, just to sort of explain how to pronounce some of these words and give some tips on how to do it as well phonetically, because I'm a bit of a language nerd, so I kind of can explain some of these things decently well, I think. Yeah, but that's the new project. A bit of a rambly video, sorry about that. But I felt it necessary after being away this long to just sort of give an overview of how I plan to reignite my passion for the hobby, because right now I'm still kind of burned out, but the idea of finally doing Italian Wars after all these years of sort of planning it in my head is kind of exciting, and I am looking forward to it. But I definitely first have to get through this this commission of the greenskins, which I'm not looking forward to. But oh well. Definitely have to finish that first, and then we'll get into some Italian Wars. And yeah, because right now I had a bit of an accident a couple of weeks ago, and I need to really focus on this to get it done in time. I have some more commissions sitting here. There's another one over there from the same guy as this, who gave me a whole bunch of squats from 1980s. The Rogue Trader 40k dwarves. Awesome. I'm really looking forward to that commission, and I'll definitely be showing that off on the channel because they're cool as hell. It's like a biker gang. It's great. But yeah, so that's the greenskins first. Then we'll do Italian Wars. I'm sure you'll also see some of that dwarf stuff. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. If you still are with me after 22 minutes, I hope that I can live up to my previous frequency of videos and my quality, because yeah, I kind of miss at least making the videos. And it's a shame that I'm just so burned out. The will is there, but the flesh is weak at the moment with getting some extra painting in. So yeah. I hope you all have wonderful days and evenings, and I am still watching a lot of people's videos. It's just when I watch them, I am right there, down there in my bed, watching on my TV, which is there, and so it's kind of difficult for me to leave comments. I always try to leave likes, but if I don't leave a comment on your video, I have definitely watched it and appreciated it, and yeah, I'll try to leave more comments now again. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I hope I'll see you soon for some of that Italian Wars goodness of Landsknecht destruction. Take care, guys.